Hi, and we're back with Visions of Asia. Here today we have a video on Tommy Sotomayor about his views on black people's intelligence or IQ. Dun, dun, dun.
All right, let's check it out.
No, I believe that blacks have a lower IQ.
Do you think that's like an inherent thing or like a learned thing?
I think it's an inherent thing, and let me tell you why. Because I think blacks were born in situations where they didn't really have to fight over resources because everyone had them. If you come from a land of places where you didn't have, let me finish. If you came from a land where you didn't have the resources, then you had to become more conniving. I think white people are more conniving, which honestly is a part of IQ.
That's facts.
Okay, but what about in Africa?
Wow.
What do you mean, what about in Africa?
Like, what about black people in Africa? Like, what about their IQs there?
Their IQs are lower.
Why?
I just said they had resources. The people who were there, do you understand it?
Was that person just trying to troll him?
You know what? I don't think the person was trying to control him because I think they were looking at it from two different
Not
viewpoints.
control. I said troll.
I'm sorry. I meant, I'm a bit sleepy. I meant troll him.
Oh, okay.
Because it had two different viewpoints. See, the guy, when he said, what about Africa? When he said that, it made me think of the Africa they tend to portray a lot on the movies, where it's like still wearing loincloths, going around with spears and all that, which would give you the sense that they have a lack of resources. While here, I think Tommy, he's more thinking of the resources as just the general resources, not about the people in it. So it's more like, okay, they have abundance of diamonds, gold, and all these different animals. Maybe even they have a bunch of oil. I'm not sure. So when he's thinking about those resources and saying, yeah, they had a lot, so no, that's why they have a low IQ type thing. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like he's saying too. But it's like the person, I felt like they were trolling him because they said, what about the people in Africa? What about those black people? Like, are their IQs lower? Because we already know that in America, due to statistics, the black people have the lower IQ. But what about in Africa? And I'm thinking like, wow, why would he even ask that? Like, and then after Tommy Sotomayor just said what he said, like, it wasn't even like he was listening. That's the vibe I got.
That Africa is the largest, the number one place of natural resources on Earth. So that is the richest country. The richest continent
so it's like
on Earth. They didn't need it. Listen, there are places in Africa where the fucking diamonds.
Their development is way lower. Like,
Hold up. Listen, there are places on Africa where the diamonds were literally just there.
Sorry, that's retarded.
Huh?
Sir, let him finish.
Yeah, I was about to say, why did you keep talking through what I'm saying? You asked me a question, but you don't want to hear the answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
There are places in Africa where they don't even they have to barely dig to get the diamonds. But here's the problem. If you normally have things that are constantly there, you don't even think they're important. A place where people come from where they don't have it, they think it's important. You don't know what the big fuss is about.
Dude, that's coke, bro. That's coke.
So that's all I'm saying.
Another point that we could bring up is like maybe the reason that black people were not the first to have the advancements in like weaponry. Maybe it was because they didn't have to fight amongst each other because there was enough resources. Is that what he's saying too? Like, because we know that the civilizations that were able to create the better weapons were the ones that thrived and kind of took over the other countries and settlements and areas.
You know what? I don't think they did not have to fight. I think it was just a more of how was it being done, because like I don't know if anybody ever saw the like Shaka Zulu movie, or it might even been a documentary, but at one point how they fought, and like I thought that was hilarious. But how they fought in the movie was, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, but they fought by having almost like a dance battle. So nobody died. They simply had like almost like a dance. To me, it looked like a dance battle. They were shocked in the movie when Shaka Zulu actually took a spear, ran up and stabbed somebody. Because he's like, what is this? And it was like, everybody was shocked because they literally had a dance battle. So it was like their needs for weaponry, and this might have not been all of, tribes or whatnot, but their needs for weaponry was more like to hunt animals, to hunt for food. So they didn't have a need to use it against their fellow man. So when he say, hey, they might have been more conniving, they might have been, I'm not sure, but all I'm saying is the weapons might not have been needed to try to enslave people or decimate people, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
When you look at it, black folks did not know what the big fuss was about.
That's coke. It's pure coke.
Think about it like this, sir. In Africa, they have such an abundance of resources, like as far as food, materials, and things of that nature.
It's all coke.
Cope for what?
Because you guys have like the lowest IQ
Sir,
in the whole entire world.
I asked you a cope for what? You gave me a question.
Hold on, I gotta stop him. Hold on, sir, hold on. First off, hold on,
You guys
sir.
had all the resources and
Sir, hold on. You gotta do me a favor. One, I don't know who you are, and two, you claimed you'd make a good co-host. Three, it doesn't sound like you'd make a good co-host because you're talking like a bitch, hollering, that's all code, cope. I don't know what the fuck that means. Cause I got a low ass IQ. I'm a nigga, so I got a low ass IQ. So you gotta talk to me in regular ass fucking terms, sir. Don't talk to me in white ass terms. Talk to me in nigga terms if you don't mind.
See what I'm saying? I think he got the vibe that guy was kind of trolling him too. Like he was like this white pompous jerk that just called into a show where a black man is hosting it, trying to get him to admit that black people have lower IQs and stuff like that. And I wouldn't even have fed into that. I'm sorry. Whether I believed it or not, I'm not going to speak on the majority of people's intelligence. So if Tommy wants to do stuff like that, yeah, you're going to subject yourself to those idiot pranksters and white racists who want to hear this kind of stuff and then proceed to call in to try to harass and try to reinforce that. And you're just the black person to do it. I mean, don't you think that's kind of like what it is too? Like,
Yeah,
he kind of was used in this moment.
I wouldn't have did a video talking about, black people having lower IQs or anything like that, because, yeah.
Because that's like saying you're stupid yourself just because you're black or even part black. I mean, if you're black or you identify in any way as black and you sit there and be like, yeah, we have lower IQs, that's like pretty much admitting you're dumb.
But
Like,
I mean, haven't people already, what should I say, been shown that they can make it pretty far pandering to
majority of
pandering
America,
to certain
race.
certain people. Let's just leave it like that.
I mean, I guess because they're the majority of the population. So in any regard where they would feel superior, I mean, of course they would take their chance at it. You know what I mean? Most people would. I would not have allowed some white person to be sitting there talking to me about how low my people's IQ is. Like, that's just not even cool.
I do like how he's going through for this sarcastic approach. So, like, well, explain it to me then, because I'm black. My IQ is low.
You just open yourself up to that. It wouldn't be me. That's all I got to say about it.
Talk to me in my low ass IQ terms. So tell me what the fuck you're saying. Don't just keep saying that's all code or cope or whatever the fuck you're saying, because I don't know. If you don't mind, talk to me like I am, not as bright as you. Ignore this master's degree, sir. I want to be as low as you. Ignore this Georgia Tech in my background. I want to be where you are, sir. I can acknowledge that the white man got me beat. Help me out, though, Mr. I want to be your co-host. Talk to me like I am a low IQ nigga. Please explain to me what I said to you was cope. I don't know what that means, but you just kept repeating it. Typically, I know you intelligent whites wouldn't do that. You would explain to me what these words mean. You wouldn't speak to me in code unless you just don't want me to know. Now, I understand that if you don't want me to know. But help me out. What do you mean? So I'll know what that means when me saying, typically in these black areas, they had certain things, so they didn't fight for them because they didn't even know what they were. They had an abundance of these things. Please tell me what you mean. Go ahead.
So like I listen to that. I'm like, okay, that's bullshit. And
But
it's
why
like,
do you say it's bullshit? Hold on. You don't just call something bullshit. You got to wait. Stop. Once you call it bullshit, if I did all that explaining of why this was an issue, you should be able to do that, all that explaining to show me why it wasn't.
Okay, so explain why that was the issue. Really?
So you didn't hear anything I said, but you just called it cope.
Well, I did, because you said that you guys had all.
You got something to say about it?
I actually have nothing to say because he pretty much called this guy out, and now this guy is at a loss for words, it seems. So I would just let it play a little bit more, see if the guy has some reason, like he said, to call it that.
Okay.
The resources, therefore, you didn't really feel the need to like do that much.
I said they had the resources, and many of the things that other people considered resources, they didn't. They didn't know what they were. Then I pointed out that there are places in Africa, and these are facts, where the diamonds literally were on the surface.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
You didn't have to dig very deep to get them. That's how abundant they were.
Okay.
So my point was, I want to go back to what we were talking about, not getting off of it. So therefore, I was pointing out to you, there are areas in which these things were so normal that they didn't think that they were useful. Because they're not, in my opinion, you don't become very intelligent. It's like what happens in a house with a person who always has it. It is one of the fears of men who are rich. Their fear is that their children will lose that hunger. It is every rich man's fear that his children will no longer have that hunger because they're used to being fed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in a lot of those African countries, they didn't even know what it was that they had because they had it. But if you came from a country that didn't have it, you understood what it was. Most of us don't understand what freedom is. Hold on a second. Most of us don't understand what freedom is until it's taken from us.
That's right. Okay, so why did the Africans not understand what they had, but the Europeans did understand what that was?
Because if you notice, again, I just pointed out, these are the richest places on earth. The places where they came from, where the Europeans came from, were not the richest places on earth. Hence, they kept going to those other places because they knew what they needed, because they had a deficiency.
Yep.
That's common sense. There are a lot of people who, like, if your body breaks down, there are a lot of people, they figure out why is our bodies breaking down, because they want to live. And then they realize our kidneys are not strong, our hearts are not strong. And then they develop a way to transplant these things. Well, what happened? They then figure out that there's a group of people who don't know that their heart, kidneys, and lungs are valuable. Guess who they go and talk to? There's a whole show about it right now online, and you guys can go look it up. There was a movie where these people were buying time from people. And guess who they were buying time from? Poor people.
That's real. I mean, that's just like we hear about those human trafficking, that they take people's organs and just like either leave them somewhere with a big scar and a gaping wound, or they just go missing and you never hear from them again.
No, I think that the dumbest thing I heard was when a guy, I think he gave up a kidney or maybe a liver. I'm not sure if a liver can be given up, but he gave up some vital organ for an iPhone.
Oh no. No. I mean, the only way you're giving up an organ is to save somebody that you find dear to you, that you love dearly, and their life is more important than yours. So more than likely that's like a child or something, or like a sibling or something like that. But, or, even a husband, You know what I mean? Hopefully a wife. You know, so it's like one of those things where, you know, organs are not something that you just give up easily. But if you are to, you better be compensated for the rest of your life, your lifetime, and possibly one or all of your children's lifetime. Like, for an organ, that's a pretty big deal because you're like literally potentially saving another life.
I heard a
taking
rumor
away
that,
from your own.
that, what was it, George Lopez, he ended up getting an organ from his wife and then divorced her shortly after.
George Lopez?
That's what I heard. I'm not sure how true it is.
That's why I like Tommy Sotomayor sometimes, because he does have these like philosophical moments. I personally don't agree with like inviting white people on your show to talk about how low the intelligence is of black people, because that just leaves so many questions and so much wrong there. I mean, if you ask me. But you guys, leave us your comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell us what you think, and we will see you next time.